Hi everybody, thank you for joining me and checking out another video. What I'm going to do today, it started this plein air piece last year in the fall, Colby Woods here, and I really like it. It's about, I didn't finish it. What I'm going to be attempting today is finishing it, adding some cooler tones because it's very warm toned right now. And what I'm going to be using for a palette is titanium white, Mars black, ultramarine blue, cad red medium, Indian yellow. And this is my Gorilla paint box that I really enjoy using. And so now we're going to get started. I'm going to take a little Indian yellow, some cad red, mix a couple piles with a little more yellow in it to make it a little lighter orange. I'm going to try to attempt in certain areas to punch up the light. So this is handy, so that with the clips, when you're outdoors, you can clip the paper towel down, it doesn't blow away. And also, this is a magnet, so your palette knife should stick under there and hold it in place for you. Holds like a couple because the square magnet's very small. All right, let's get going. I really like painting in those woods because there's a creek, as you can see, a little stream in there that I set up by to paint a lot, and I really enjoy painting there. And I'm adding a little white to my Indian yellow, which is already on the warm side, obviously, but and we'll see what happens. I'm going to put them in sometimes with a palette knife, and then I touch it up with the brush afterwards. That way I can just get the paint on there in certain areas. I have no photographic reference to use. I'm just kind of going by memory and what the painting needs at this point in time. And I kind of like, that's what I like about getting out there lately, doing some plein air work. Because I used to rely a lot on photos, and I want to learn how to see color better. So I still use photos for some studio work occasionally, so they're not out of the question forever. It's just at this point in time I'm trying to broaden my horizons and gain some knowledge. So just getting a few. If it's too much, you can just tone it back later. Kind of get that broken leaf edge, fallen leaves. Now wipe that off and work on the bridge here. And do a little more purples in there. With a little cad red and ultramarine blue. Favoring more blue at the moment. Trying to stay away from my Mars black as long as possible. Not that I don't use black, it's just I want to really learn about mixing my primaries. Learn more. So I'm comparing. I want essentially the same value, maybe just a bit darker than what I originally have there. So a little bit of the orange mixture to gray it down. And I'm going to test. I want a little warm, a little bit warmer. bit warmer. I'm also going to be using, when I use it, refined linseed oil by Gambler. And I'm not going to finish the whole painting on this video. I just want to give you some ideas about how I might apply some paint, move it around, and that's nice. That I like. If you squint, it kind of blends into the previous tone, but it's a different color. It's a little cooler. And I think that coolness will help this painting because there's a lot of warms that are a little, you don't want the whole painting to be warm. I will probably do about 75% warm tones, find a balance that's asymmetrical. I think that adds interest to the work, and I'm just going to try to lay this in here. So, just get that. Now I'm going to switch to some brush to dip in a little oil and into that purplish mixture, and kind of just move the paint around that I put there with the palette knife. I don't want to kill the textures that the palette knife did, but I do want to reduce the edges and applying the paint to just get in there. And I have a maul stick if I need to get in there carefully. I have my maul stick that I can use and rest right against my box. And that gives me some control. So, do you need it? No. You can kind of use the box, or just, it's good practice sometimes to practice trying to be really careful in case you don't have your maul stick with you, or you want to reduce your painting gear. But also when you're out in the woods, you can of course just grab a stick and use that, especially because I want to get into doing hiking and painting. So quantity of gear is something to be aware of because you don't want to carry excessive weight. So we'll see how that goes. Just kind of got into that last year, so I haven't really done a hike. I've gone local places with the gear, practicing, and it's a lot of fun. That's what that Chilean kayak video that I did. So just having that little bit of coolness in there and the shadows, and then when I punch up the sunlight on the bridge, I think that'll really seem nice because you'll have the orange against the purple. I'm sure everyone that's done a little painting is pretty familiar with the basics of the color wheel. So I'm not too concerned. Obviously these are made up of planks and stuff, and I'll suggest those later. I'm just getting the mass tones in right now. Details come later. And I'll probably take some of this color and in different intensities I'll do the highlights on some tree trunks to bring this up to the top of the painting. So I hope you enjoyed this little snippet of how I work on a painting, and if you found it useful, please share it with your friends, your artist friends, and subscribe to my channel. And let me know if you have any suggestions, or just leave them in the comments. Thanks.